Hi, welcome to our video about Seoul, South Korea. So before we actually sort of visit any city or country or whatever, I'll do a little Google, little search online, on Instagram, all that kind of thing, and just to see if there's anywhere that I want to add onto our list of places to check out or visit. And two places that I found, which we basically visited as soon as we arrived in Seoul because I was so excited to check them out. One place was called Ark and Book, and it's this absolutely gorgeous bookstore, and right in the middle of the bookstore there's a little pathway and they have an arch made out of books, which is really cool. And the actual bookstore itself was really beautiful, really nice to kind of walk around. There were a few like cafes and stuff in there. It's my favourite magazine ever. It's called B brand. And I love them. And they have them here. Oh, I want all of them. But it was just like, if you're a book lover, and obviously then you'll love a good bookstore, it was just such a nice place. It made me think of what I would expect a bookstore in New York to look like, maybe from like the 40s or something, you know? A lot of like dark wood and leather and stuff, and it was just really beautiful, and I loved it in there. So that was one place, and then the other place was Starfield Library, which is in a shopping centre in a mall called Coex Mall. They had floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and people could use it as a public library, and it was just like a really nice environment. Obviously, like a lot of people go there to take pictures because it's a great backdrop for, you know, a little impromptu Instagram photo shoot, which is a bit of a shame because I think if there were less people there, it would be such a nice place to go and like sit and read and to use more as a library than like a backdrop for a photo shoot. But I get it because it was really cool to see. In the middle of the city, by the main train station in Seoul, there is Seoul's equivalent of, I don't know if you've heard of like the High Line in New York. So it's basically like a bridge that goes over the city, goes over loads of roads, and it's just like a garden on a bridge basically. And it's just a nice little park, and you can watch the traffic. Watch the traffic. That sounds great, doesn't it? You can watch the traffic from this bridge. You can watch like the cars go past, but you get like a nice view of the city. There were loads of pianos that people can play, like dotted, because the bridge is quite long, dotted across the bridge. So Jim played it. We were on the bridge twice, and Jim played it both times that we were on there. And both times he got a little bit of attention. One from a woman who wanted her picture with Jim. And another guy, we think he might have been a homeless guy. We weren't 100% sure. He didn't speak English, we don't speak Korean. But he like tipped Jim to keep playing one song. And then as Jim was playing, he just kept talking over it. So I don't know really what it was for, but it was fun. We met some locals. We couldn't come to South Korea without learning more about North Korea. So we saw they do a DMZ tour. I'm saying Z, I know I should say Z, but DMZ sounds weird, so we're going with DMZ. There were 4 stops as part of the tour. The first one was an observation tower. Jim will insert names when he puts the footage because I can't remember the names of all the places that we went to. Thanks, future Jim.
Don't worry about it.
The first stop was an observation deck where you can basically look through some binoculars and you can lay your eyes upon North Korea. That was quite exciting because obviously it's quite like a secretive country, and you know, it's quite fun, but it was really bloody foggy. So although we could see it, we could see like the mountains and we could see a few buildings by looking through the binoculars, and a lot of it was covered in fog. The second stop was a memorial park. And that was nice, and we got to actually enter the DMZ, like the demilitarized zone, and like have a look around, have a look at a bridge, which was really cool actually. It's a bridge that connects like South Korea, North Korea, and actually connects through to like China, Russia, Europe, so that was quite interesting. And also a bridge that when like the prisoners of war were released, they like came back over this bridge. And also there were people tied up like ribbons and wrote messages on them because there are a lot of families that were separated from their relatives because of this separation in the countries. It's a good chance to learn a bit more about like what happened and how it all led to this point. It's kind of weird though, because there's loads of parts that are like, look how tragic this is and it's so sad, but also there's like a Popeyes over there and like it's becoming quite touristy, so it's kind of, it's a weird place to be, but it's interesting for us to learn a bit more, so that's good. Our third stop, the weirdest stop, was to a ginseng museum to try and sell us ginseng that's made in South Korea. That was a bit of a detour. And then the final one, we went to a like a war memorial and war museum. That was quite interesting. We felt like by that point we'd kind of learnt a lot about like the war, and we were kind of happy with what we knew, so we didn't want to just read the same stuff again. So we went to the area that had all like the kind of planes and boats and stuff from the war, and we just had a little reenactment. So after our very educational trip, visiting the DMZ and checking all of that out and learning all about like the Korean War and everything like that, we thought the next day we needed even more culture. So we checked out Poopoo Land. I'm not naming it Poopoo Land, that's its actual bloody name. It was me and Jim, and the only other people that were in this entire place apart from staff was this mum with her two very small children. But they kind of went off ahead, so we didn't really see them whilst we were there. And you go through and there's like opportunities to take pictures and stuff. And then you learn about how food like starts from obviously going into your mouth and how it like goes through your body and eventually becomes poo. And but you actually get to go on the journey with the food. And then there's like a little bridge, and there's like a big ball pit room. It's like I guess supposed to be like stomach. I don't know. It was all in Korean, so we couldn't actually learn much about the process whilst we were there. We were just there for the fun. My favourite bit was when you go through like this intestine, and it's like, they're like crash pads, I think. They've made an intestine out of them. I don't know how to describe it, but they're like floor to ceiling, and you have to like kind of push your way through. And I'm a little bit claustrophobic, so it was a bit intense at one point where we were like bang in the middle of it, and the gap is like this big, so you have to just like launch yourself through. But it ended up being quite fun, and it was a very good hour or so that we spent in there. Jim has asked me to add this plea at the end of this video. He would like you to subscribe. Unfortunately, I am the one that's on the camera, so I'm the one that's having to convey Jim's message from him to me to you. But yeah, so please, for my sake of not having to listen to Jim complain that we don't have enough subscribers, please subscribe to this video. This video channel. YouTube channel. Thank you. I feel like I need a donut, like a bit of sugar rush, do you know what I mean? This isn't about you. This is about me. But yeah, so moral of the trip.